Hey brother! Guys, there is no question that Marvel movies seem to be at an all-time high, and superhero movie burnout seems to kind of be held at bay for at least a little while longer. And personally, I just could not be more excited to find out what the next phases have in store for us. But holy cow, it seems like the future is so confusing and there is so much new stuff going on. With Far From Home capping off Phase 3, it kind of also capped off the MCU as we know it. Kind of. The next phase does still seem to feature some of the characters that we know and love, but it also comes right alongside the release of Disney Plus, which is totally uncharted waters. We have just so much to unpack, so let's just go ahead and dive on in and talk about the future of the MCU and Marvel's Phase 4. Okay, so in case you missed it, Marvel basically won Comic-Con. Not like that it's a competition or anything, but they definitely won. Seriously, someone needs to get them like a trophy or a participation ribbon or something, because they just announced 10 new projects rolling out over the next 2 years, which is definitely good news for us here at SuperCarlinBrothers. Plenty to talk about, hashtag job security. Today we're going to specifically be talking about the movies, of which there are 5, with 2 slated to release in 2020 and 3 slated to release in 2021. Now, 3 of these are going to be the much more familiar characters that we're already pretty well acquainted with. That's going to be Black Widow, Thor, and Doctor Strange. But I have to imagine that like 6 people watching this video knew who Shang-Chi was. Or the Eternals for that matter, but don't worry, we got you guys covered. We're going to break down each of these new titles, starting with the one that we most recently mourned about, Natasha Romanoff. Just a short 11 years and 1 death later, Marvel is finally giving Black Widow a standalone movie. To which I was all like, oh my gosh, no way, she's coming back to life? How can they do that? No, don't be foolish. Death is permanent. Said no one at Marvel ever.
I don't feel so good.
But either way, no, she's not coming back to life, and this movie is actually going to take place after the events of Civil War, when everybody has disbanded and Natasha's gonna be in a dark place with nobody left to call and nowhere to go. Now, at the moment, all we really know about Natasha's past is that she was raised at a half ballet, half assassin summer camp for kids. Otherwise, we know that she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she pretty much let those people, kind of represent her family to her until the events of Winter Soldier, when that pretty much got destroyed. At which point, though, she started to see the Avengers as her family until the events of Civil War, when that pretty much got destroyed. But then finally, they all reunite in Endgame! But right before that, she got destroyed. Honestly, I don't know why she always wears black. I mean, this character is really best represented by sunshine and rainbows. Anyway, the point is, this is after the second time she depressingly lost everything. It would seem after the fallout with S.H.I.E.L.D. and then the Avengers that she would go back to Russia and her first family, where she will meet up with the Red Guardian. That's basically Russia's version of Captain America. And who will be played by Hellboy, aka David Harbour, who played Hellboy. Oh, you didn't see that one? He's also Hopper in Stranger Things. We will also be introduced to the characters Melina, Yelena, and Franklin. No, just kidding. His name is Mason. He's kind of like a tech tinkerer guy, but he's not like the tinkerer. We actually met him in Spider-Man Homecoming. And finally, the key villain of the movie seems to be Tony Masters, aka the Taskmaster. Which, not for nothing, but when I hear the name Taskmaster, all I can think of is like Percy Weasley from Harry Potter, like the guy who's just constantly like, go do your tasks! But instead of telling kids to just keep up repeatedly over and over again. Like, they're not going anywhere, Percy.
Gryffindors, follow me, please. Keep up. Thank you.
His superpower is actually kind of fascinating. It is photographic reflexes, meaning he is able to observe somebody doing something that can be like particularly technical, and then he himself can immediately do that thing. Like, if he could watch somebody do a particularly difficult dive, he could just immediately walk up to the diving board and do the same thing. His catch, though, is that he cannot recreate superhuman strength. So if he watches somebody lift and then throw a car, he can't go and replicate that act because he's not physically strong enough to pick up a car. And they have released a concept image of what his armor is going to look like, and to me it's more like robotic than anything else, which kind of leads me to believe that Mason may be the man behind the mask, and that it's actually the tech that's doing the copying, which would fit nicely with the time period that this movie is supposed to take place, because at the end of Civil War, we literally see Tony's Iron Man suit do exactly that to beat Cap.
Analyze his fight pattern.
Countermeasures ready.
Let's kick his ass.
In any case, at present, they have not released the casting of the Taskmaster, so we might just have to wait and see. But moving on to the next release of 2020, on November 6th, it will be The Eternals. The Eternals are an immortal race of aliens that were sent to Earth by the Celestials to protect humankind from the Deviants, and that is the most comic book sentence I have ever said in my life. The point is, these guys are pretty much just one tier above Thanos, meaning they are insanely powerful. So far, they have announced 8 of the Eternals that are going to be featured in this movie, which might sound like a lot, but the list actually goes on for a while. But right now, they've got Thena, Icarus, Kingo, Makari, Phastos, Ajax, Sprite, and Gilgamesh. The most important of these is most likely to be Thena, who is going to be played by Angelina Jolie. So glad to see they're going with indie actors for these movies. To be fair though, I actually think she looks almost exactly like the character from the comics, so there is that. Her general backstory is weird, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. In an arrangement between the Greek gods and the Eternals are supposed to be the representatives of the Greek gods on Earth, with Thena being the representative of Athena, daughter of Zeus. I mean, it all makes sense. And she has pretty limitless powers, including immortality, invulnerability, cosmic energy projections, she collects Pez dispensers, flight, and gosh, are we sure she's not just another Captain Marvel? And so far, she's 1 of 8, meaning there are 7 more of these. Like, what was even the point of the Avengers? But what I do find really interesting about these guys, though, is that because they are immortal, it means that the storyline of this movie is actually going to take place over, like, eons. Meaning there's the opportunity for them to run into a lot of other characters and possibly be affected by the snap somewhere along the way. Although for them, having lived for that long, it would probably just feel like a blip. Whoa, sorry guys, did I miss anything? I was snapped out of existence there for a while. Honestly, we just thought you went to the bathroom. Speaking of the snap though, this does kind of open the door for us to get a bit more backstory on the Mad Titan himself, Thanos, who does in fact have a bit of the deviant gene inside of him. I don't know why I said a bit, he has the deviant gene. I could have just taken that take again, but instead I'm just adding more work for Derek. And now I'm just explaining it. As for the Celestials though, we don't have a lot to go on for them, although we have met kind of 1.5 of them so far in the form of Ego and Peter Quill. Plus you can see 1 more of them here wielding the Power Stone when the Collector is just expositioning all over the Guardians. By the way, exposition is a term that basically means that the characters in the movie are explaining something to other characters in the movie more for the benefit of like us, the audience, than really anyone else, and I'm actually doing it right now. Anyway, the Celestials are kind of famous for using the Infinity Stones, so I wouldn't be totally surprised if they somehow show back up in one form or another. Moving on though, we're going to go to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I will admit is the character that I personally knew the least about. And by least, what I mean is everything I'm about to say I learned in the last 24 hours. In a nutshell though, he is just the best non-superpowered martial artist on the planet Earth. He is fast enough to literally deflect bullets with his bracers, all Wonder Woman style, and is in super control of his chi, which is a sentiment that to this day I still don't know what it means, but I bet it's powerful. He is typically the son of the crime lord Fu Manchu, who for reasons as obvious as his name is considered to be racially insensitive, and Marvel no longer has the rights to him. So instead, his villain will be at long last the Mandarin. One version of the Mandarin has actually already appeared in the MCU in Iron Man 3, where he was portrayed by Ben Kingsley pretending to be the Mandarin, a fact that I am still disappointed about to this day. I mean, they just set it up so much, like even going back to like Iron Man 1, there's like the one dude with the huge ring that they keep drawing attention to. And they have this like huge flag with 10 rings on it. Like, what's with this fake out, Marvel? Anyway, the 10 rings is a reference to the 10 rings that the Mandarin wears on his hands, and that's what gives him power, which is a totally unique concept and not similar at all to a gauntlet. That's a glove. Each one of the rings offers him a different magical power, and beyond that, he's just a master of the martial arts with a karate chop so powerful it can actually break Iron Man's armor. In any case though, I think he's going to make a fantastic villain for Shang-Chi, as he is also a master of chi to the point where he can just go like years without eating just on that alone. Which again brings me to my question, like what is chi? Like a really good protein bar? Master of chi, does that allow him to fly? Sure! Can he eat it? Probably. Could he be harboring the soul of an immortal dragon? Definitely. That's actually Iron Fist. Either way though, he must have been around for quite some time, because even at the point of like this fake out version of him, it's pretty spot on. Like he's wearing the right medallion, he's got the 10 rings on, he's kind of embodying the character. Meaning the fake out itself must be based off of some like real off-screen character. And also just a mini theory for now, I'm going to predict that Shang-Chi will go on to be the Mandarin's son. Moving on though, up next we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness! Which, if you ask me, almost sounds like a haunted house ride at like a theme park somewhere, but either way. Not super sure that I love the title for now, but I do feel like it does confirm the fact that there is some version of a multiverse. Even Kevin Feige said, just because Quentin Beck makes up lies about the multiverse doesn't mean it isn't real. Which, just saying, we totally called it. So far, not a whole lot is known about this movie because it's still so far out into the future, but director Scott Derrickson has come out and said that it's going to have a gothic horror theme and that it's going to be the first like scary MCU movie, which will work out very nicely for the Disney World ride, the Multiverse of Madness! I feel like the way I keep saying that sounds like there will be vampires, which I'm not totally sure I'm wrong about either. The movie will also feature Emily Olsen as Scarlet Witch and kind of serve as a crossover to her Disney Plus show, WandaVision. At least one of the villains is going to be Nightmare, who is the ruler of the Dream Dimension. A place that, if you ask me, sounds like the whole movie could just be like an extended cut of the weird acid trip from the first movie. Do you remember when his hand grew hands? That's totally gonna be on the ride. Also, just the very existence of the multiverse could mean literally anything for the future of the MCU. So I'm very curious to see like what rules they put around this and how it can be accessed and will be used for the rest of the series. Just my one request, if I can put in, you know, a request, is just wherever you go, whatever you do, please, please, please bring us Spider-Gwen. I'd be so happy. And so finally, that just leaves us with Thor: Love and Thunder, set to come out on November 5th, 2021, which, as we learned over the weekend, will in fact star Natalie Portman reprising her role as Jane Foster and as Thor. Need I say more? Probably not, but I will because I do have questions. Like, isn't Thor somewhere still, like, hanging out with the Guardians? And where did she get the hammer? Like, didn't Cap return it? I think I definitely was assuming that he did in fact return it, but I guess it's also possible that he didn't. We really didn't get to see what he did after he left to return the stones. And yes, in case you are wondering, regular Thor, Chris Hemsworth, will still be in this movie, but as we saw in Endgame, he no longer needs Mjolnir because he has a shiny new gigantic axe. Also, Jane Foster becoming Thor is not exactly a new idea either. Going back to 2014 in the comics, there is actually a time period where she lifted Mjolnir and assumed the powers of Thor. It's actually a really cool story that I totally spoiled for myself while researching for this video, but I highly recommend you go and check it out. You will enjoy it. Oh, and also Valkyrie is totally coming back searching for her queen, and it's gonna be kind of a cool moment because it's like the first time we're gonna see like an LGBT character like really take up a helm in the series. So that's gonna be awesome. And Jay, I think that that's everything that you need to know about the upcoming confirmed movies in Phase 4. Except there are also 5 Disney Plus shows coming out, and they have confirmed a bunch of other things for the future as well, including Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Fantastic for Guardians 3, Blade, and X-Men. So it'll be a really good time to be a Marvel fan. But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you would like some more Marvel action from us, you can click right up here to see our complete spoiler Endgame review, or right here to see our complete spoiler Far From Home review. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.